You have to die a few times before you actually live. We don't even ask happiness, just a little less pain. If you have the ability to love, love yourself first. We are like roses that have never bothered to bloom when we should have bloomed, and it is as if the sun has become disgusted with waiting. I never met another man I'd rather be. And even if that's a delusion, it's a lucky one. Oh, I don't mean you're handsome. Not the way people think of handsome. Your face seems kind, but your eyes, they are beautiful. They are wild, crazy, like some animal peering out of a forest on fire. I wasn't lonely. I experienced no self-pity. I was just caught up in a life in which I could find no meaning. Regret is mostly caused by not having done anything. What is your advice to young writers? Drink, fuck, and smoke plenty of cigarettes. I often stood in front of the mirror alone, wondering how ugly a person could get. I have one problem. I don't hate people. They disgust me, and I want to get away from them. I do not have hatred. I have an escape mechanism. Everything you own must be able to fit inside one suitcase. Then your mind might be free. I don't know. It's been terribly hard for me. How do I know you won't do it again? Where some god pissed a rain of reason to make things grow only to die. He fell off the table like a crab looking for the sea. That your power of command with simple language was one of the magnificent things of our century. Most people's death is a fake. There is nothing left in them that can die. You know, Doctor, wisdom comes at a hell of an hour. When youth is gone, the storm is over, and the girls have gone home. If you don't have much soul left, and you know it, you still got soul. All that shit they were fed about democracy and opportunity was just to keep them from burning down the palace. People so tired, mutilated either by love or no love. You realize when you're plucked out of the mainstream that it doesn't need you or anybody else. There wasn't even resignation on my part, only disgust, a disgust that this had happened to me. And a disgust with the doctors who couldn't do anything about it. They were helpless, and I was helpless, the only difference being that I was the victim. People must find things to do while waiting for death. However small a man may be, he will always discover that he can be smaller. Tell him to seek the stars, and he will kill himself with climbing. Are there good governments and bad governments? No, there are only bad governments and worse governments. Love is not a candle burning down. Life is. And love and life are not the same, or else love, having choice, nobody would ever die. All we do is sleep, and eat and lay around and make love. We're like slugs. Slug love, I call it. You're the most unknown famous man I ever met. I never met another man I'd rather be. And even if that's a delusion, it's a lucky one. The first place smelled like work, so I took the second. And love is a word used too much and much too soon. She wasn't very interesting, but few people are. It does seem the more we drink, the better the words go. Sometimes it's hard to know what to do. I feel no grief for being called something which I'm not. In fact, it's enthralling. Somehow, like a good back rub. The whole world is a sack of shit ripping open. I can't save it. The centuries are sprinkled with rare magic, with divine creatures who help us get past the common and extraordinary ills that beset us. And if I have any advice to give to anybody, it's this: take up watercolor painting. When I begin to doubt my ability to work the word, I simply read another writer, and know I have nothing to worry about. My contest is only with myself, to do it right, with power, and force, and delight, and gamble. That's when I first learned that it wasn't enough to just do your job. You had to have an interest in it, even a passion for it. She had wild eyes, slightly insane. She also carried an overload of compassion that was real enough and which obviously cost her something. Most people are not ready for death, theirs or anybody else's. Sometimes a man doesn't know what to do about things, and sometimes it's best to lie very still and try not to think at all about anything. We are here to drink beer. We are here to kill war. We are here to laugh at the odds and live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. Genius might be the ability to say a profound thing in a simple way. I tell you, such fine music waits in the shadows of hell. I'm too careless. I don't put out enough effort. I'm tired. Any damn fool can make up some kind of job. It takes a wise man to make it without working. There's no clarity. There was never meant to be clarity. Gradually I came to realize that my understanding of women goes only as far as the pleasure is concerned. The free soul is rare, but you know it when you see it, basically because you feel good. Very good. When you are near or with them. You just rebel against everything. How are you going to survive? The night kept coming on in, and there was nothing I could do. Many a good man has been put under the bridge by a woman. Those who have been writing literature have not been writing life. Sometimes I've called writing a disease. If so, I'm glad that it caught me. In my work, as a writer, I only photograph, in words, what I see. Like the fox, I run with the hunted, and if I'm not the happiest man on earth, I'm surely the luckiest man alive. Well, the rain had stopped, but the pain was still there. When you drank, the world was still out there, but for the moment it didn't have you by the throat. It does seem the more we drink, the better the words go. It was like a church in there, as only the truly lost sit in bars on Tuesday mornings at 8:00 a.m. Take a writer away from his typewriter, and all you have left is the sickness which started him typing in the beginning. Tea was almost disappointing because it seemed when stress and madness were eliminated from my daily life, there wasn't much left you could depend on. Sometimes I get too exhausted to even feel bad. Why did I come here? I thought. Why is it always only a matter of choosing between something bad and something worse? Most people are much better at saying things in letters than in conversation, and some people can write artistic, inventive letters, but when they try a poem or story or novel, they become pretentious. She knew what she wanted, and it wasn't me. I know more women like that than any other kind. Some nights I knew that if I slept I would die. Do not ignore it. Fuck it. Cry your heart out. Then fuck it some more. Sometimes there's nothing to say about death. It's colder than hell, yes, but the blankets are thin, and the pulled down shades are as full of holes as love is. True revolution comes from true revulsion. When things get bad enough, the kitten will kill the lion. They laughed. Things were funny. They weren't afraid to care. There was no sense to life, to the structure of things. People see so many movies that when they finally see one not so bad as the others, they think it's great. An Academy Award means that you don't stink quite as much as your cousin. I'm not like other people. I'm burning in hell. The hell of myself. Love is a form of prejudice. I have too many other prejudices. There is only one place to write, and that is alone at a typewriter. The writer who has to go into the streets is a writer who does not know the streets. When you leave your typewriter, you leave your machine gun, and the rats come pouring through. Like the fox, I run with the hunted, and if I'm not the happiest man on earth, I'm surely the luckiest man alive. Well, the rain had stopped, but the pain was still there. When you drank, the world was still out there, but for the moment it didn't have you by the throat. Human relationships simply aren't durable. I think back to the women in my life. They seem non-existent. Don't be ashamed of anything. I guess God meant it all like locks on doors. If you think they didn't go crazy in tiny rooms just like you're doing now, without women, without food, without hope, then you're not ready. I like the way Mahler wandered about in his music and still retained his passion. He must have looked like an earthquake walking down the street. It didn't pay to trust another human being. Humans didn't have it, whatever it took. Not writing is not good, but trying to write when you can't is worse. Since some people had told me that I was ugly, I always preferred shade to the sun, darkness to light. I decided to stay in bed until noon. Maybe by then half the world would be dead, and it would only be half as hard to take. Since some people had told me that I was ugly, I always preferred shade to the sun, darkness to light. Existence was not only absurd, it was plain hard work. Think of how many times you put on your underwear in a lifetime. It was appalling. It was disgusting. It was stupid. There is a loneliness in this world so great that you can see it in the slow movement of the hands of a clock. I never pump up my vulgarity. I wait for it to arrive in its own terms. The trouble with these people is that their cities have never been bombed, and their mothers have never been told to shut up. The trouble with these people is that their cities have never been bombed, and their mothers have never been told to shut up. Money is like sex, I said. It seems much more important when you don't have any. That the young rich smell the stink of the poor and learn to find it a bit amusing. They had to laugh, otherwise it would be too terrifying. Those who preach God need God. Those who preach peace do not have peace. Those who preach love do not have love.